All right. Hi, good morning.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
Good
ma'am.
morning,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Good morning. Before we will start, I want to check first if my audio is clear on your end.
Yes,
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 ma'am.
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 Is my presentation also visible on your end?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am, it is.
All right, thank you. So I would also like to ask you all to call my attention if during our discussion I will be laggy or what, because our internet provider has been going loco for the past weeks. So again, good morning. I hope you're all doing great and ready to learn today. Welcome to our English class. We are now on the fourth quarter, and for today, we will tackle the Module 6 entitled Discover Literature as a Tool to Assert One's Unique Identity and to Better Understand Other People. But before we start, I want to remind you all first with the following guidelines so we could maximize our online meeting today. So the first one is unmute yourself if you have anything to say, which is of course should only be related and relevant to our discussion for today. Next is the opposite, of course. Mute yourself if you are done talking and don't have anything to say. This is to avoid hearing background noises that could interfere on our meet. So the third one is press the raise hand button whenever I ask you to. And the last one is all ears and attention should be me and on what we will be discussing, so you could absorb and process the lesson for today. Do you understand my instruction? Please press the raise hand button if you do. All right, thank you. You can lower it down. So next. The following presented on your screen are our objectives for today. So we have here number one, identify social and cultural factors that help shape our identities by analyzing first-hand reflections. Number two, recognize color as it was used in the selection. And number three, appraise how the selection serves as an avenue in asserting Filipino identity. So we will begin with some motivational activities. Number one, how I view myself. So I want you guys to answer the following questions or complete the following statement. I understand that these are quite a lot of questions. So I will just pick some for you to answer. So who would like to volunteer first? No one? All right, Monica, please unmute yourself.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Please state your name.
My name is Monica Matito.
All right, your birthday.
February 7, 2001.
Good. Um, what are the things that you like about yourself?
Actually, first is that um, when I do activities, it is all or nothing, whether I give my best or not do it at all. Second one, um, I also like being hardworking in different fields in life.
All
That's it.
right. And what about the things that you hate about yourself?
There are actually a lot of things, but some of them is I tend to give it all, especially to my friends and family. If there are times that I don't really have left in myself, something like that,
Oh,
ma'am.
all right. Um, that was deep. So, next question is what inspires you the most?
Number one inspiration when it comes to almost everything in life is my family, then close friends and pets.
Describe in one word. Life is.
Life is a journey.
Agree, I agree.
That's
So,
cliche.
what is the best thing that ever happened to you?
I guess the best thing that ever happened to me is the day that I leave. Because if I am not here, I mean, all these adventures would mean nothing.
All right, thank you so much. Those were so nice answers. So
Thank you, ma'am.
I saw one raise his hand. Fiel, I think it was you. Unmute yourself, please.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry. I accidentally clicked the hand button.
Oh, all right. So you should you can answer, right? You can still answer.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So please state your name,
My name is Fel Russell P. Raimundo. My birthday
birthday.
is September 13, 2001.
All right. So what is your advice for yourself?
Um, One advice I always tell myself is that never stop. Just keep, just keep digging. Just keep pushing on, and never allow yourself to be hindered.
I agree. So, what are your hobbies?
Um, I find passion in arts, drawing, painting, and digital editing.
That's great because I'm not that really good with art. So, next question is, what inspires you the most?
My mom, my mom showed me that
Um,
wars can be won.
that's so sweet. And what is your biggest fear?
Loneliness. I hate isolation. I'm sorry for the word, but I don't like isolation.
We all don't like isolation. Next question is describe in one word. Life is.
Life is an adventure.
Same with Monica. It is also synonymous to a journey. Life is a journey, life is an adventure. So, last question, what is the best thing that ever happened to you?
The best thing that ever happened to me was growth. Growth in general. I wasn't the person that I used to be, and I keep on developing further as a person.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much to
Thank you,
those who
ma'am.
participated. Your answers have helped me to know you better, and of course, you yourselves. The fact that you acknowledge the things that you either like or hate about yourself is a good indication that you know yourself best. So, moving forward to our next motivational activity, we have here how others view me. So, after knowing yourself, let us try to see how other people see you as a person. So, everyone here shall participate. You just have to ask someone to describe you in two to three words. So, I'll start with Russell. Please unmute yourself.
Good morning, ma'am. I would
Good
like
morning.
to hear from Fiel.
All right, Fiel. Fiel, can you describe Russell in two words?
Two words, ma'am. Funny and communicative.
All right, thank you. Do you accept that description, Russell?
Yes, ma'am, I think so too.
All right, so Monica, please unmute yourself.
Hello, ma'am.
Can you describe Fiel in two to three words?
Um, Phil is confident, consistent, and um, another word should describe it. Yeah, confident and consistent.
All right, thank you. Fiel, do you accept that description?
Yes, ma'am, I do. Confidence
All
level 999.
All right, thank you. Next we have here Genevieve. Please unmute
Yes,
yourself.
ma'am.
Can you describe Monica in two to three words?
Um, kind and approachable, ma'am.
All right, Monica, do you accept that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that view.
Yeah,
All
it's
right, that's so
true.
sweet, right? To know how people actually view you. So we have here Denise. Please unmute yourself.
No, ma'am.
Hi, Denise. Can you please describe Genevieve in 2 to 3 words?
I'd say she's smart and passionate.
Wow, that's so sweet. Also, Genevieve, can you accept that description?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, then.
All right. So, Gian, please unmute yourself. Gian, are you there? All right. I think Gian is having problems with her internet connection. But by the way, Denise, can you describe Russell? It was Russell who unmuted first, right? Can you describe rather Russell in 2 to 3 words?
Yes, ma'am. I think she's friendly and kind.
All right, Russell, do you accept that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Next is Denise. I never asked someone to describe you. Hmm, let's say Monica, can you describe Denise in 2 to 3 words?
Denise is simple and has on her own timeline.
All right, Denise, is it true?
Yes, ma'am. I accept.
All right, so thank you so much for actively participating. So, in our realization, did you understand more yourself during the first activity? And how about in the second activity? Did you have a clear picture on how others perceive you? Like those sweet words, how you do not know that these people view as this person actually view you as someone who is sweet, who is kind, right? So, um based on those description, did you have a clear picture on how other people actually sees you? So please click the raise button if you do. All right. Okay, thank you so much. So those were nice motivational activities. Now we have here what's new. So here is the lyrics of one of the songs sung in the movie The Greatest Showman, entitled This Is Me. If you have internet at home, you can watch the full lyric video with the link I will send on our group chat later. However, presented here is a copy of the lyrics. Don't worry, as I wouldn't ask you to sing because I cannot do that too. But I just want you guys to read and comprehend the lyrics with me. So I'll start. Um, First stanza is I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, because we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say. No one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. Um, I want someone to read the next stanza for this class. Denise, can you? Who raises hand? All right, Phil, please.
Okay. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me.
All right, thank you. Another one is another round of bullets hits my skin. Well, fire away, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. We are warriors. Yeah, that's what we've become. Won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. All right, next stanza. Can you read it? Um, all right, go ahead, Genevieve.
When the sharpest words wanna cut me down,
Gonna send the flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be, this is me. Look out, 'cause here I am, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies, this is me.
Thank you. So next is, and I know that I deserve your love. There's nothing I'm not worthy of. Wow, that's actually my favorite lines from here. And I know that I deserve your love. There's nothing I'm not worthy of. That's so powerful. I commend whoever wrote this song for those lines. So next is, when the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is Bruce. This is who I'm meant to be. This is me. Um Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. So the next lines are just a repetition of those that we have already mentioned a while ago. So yeah, the title of the song is This Is Me. So do you agree that that was such a very good song, class?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes,
Right,
ma'am.
diba? Right? I know that somehow you are all familiar with this, as this movie was a great hit back in, I think, 4 years ago. I'm not sure. However, I hope you had a thorough understanding of the song that you can use to answer our next task. So let's begin. Task 1, reflect. After going through the lyrics of the song provided, share your insights and have a reflection by completing the following phrases. So, number 1 is, I learned through the song that the most important thing about social and cultural identity is, or who wants to answer? All right, go ahead. I think it was Fiel.
I learned through the song that the most important thing about social and cultural identity are truthfulness and uniqueness.
All
How
right,
should I explain, ma'am?
go. You can
Okay.
expound your answer.
Truthfulness. What I mean about truthfulness is that we should remain true to our roots and identify ourselves as how we want to be identified, not how others want us to define, not others how want us to be defined. And then uniqueness, accepting that each of us is different from one another.
All right, I agree, but somehow this realization is no better said than done, because sometimes what the society dictates us is much louder than the voice that we hear in our head. So that's why I think it is very important to build that kind of strong love for yourself, that whatever you might hear from the outside, whatever you might hear the loud noises outside, but deep within you, you are complete, you are contented, because you know that you do you, and you are proud of yourself, right? So next question, that was so engrossing question. Now next is, I am surprised about the social and cultural factors that affects and shaping one's identity. Like, who wants to answer? All right, go ahead. I think it was Viv who raised her hand first. All right, unmute yourself,
Yes,
please.
ma'am. I am surprised about the social and cultural factors that affects in shaping one's identity, like discrimination. It is evident in the song that the persona talking is being discriminated by the people. She is regarded as different from the majority, and so it affected the persona in a way that she felt ashamed of what she is. Being tagged as different made him or her value less his or her identity.
All right, that was such a good reflection. So, the society, whether we like it or not, has set standards on what is beautiful or what is pleasing to the eyes of the majority. And so those who are different are treated differently. So it is just so unfair, right? But then again, that's why we have to, you know, at least um be nice to people, because we do not know who how things, how words will affect them and in the long run or in their own growth, right? So the next question is, with the realization about social and cultural factors affecting one's identity, I would or I should, who wants to answer? All right, go ahead, Russell.
With the realization about social and cultural factors affecting one's identity, I should be more cautious and careless of what these social factors dictate me to do or to become. Also, with regards to the people around me, I should be careful with the words I say, as it might unknowingly affect them in a bad way.
Right, just like what I have said on the first phrase. Just be a little kind, because that kindness could really go a long way. I assure you guys. So for the last one, I want to learn more about, who wants to answer, please. All right, go ahead, Denise.
I want to learn more about the other social and cultural factors present in the society because I want to have a deeper understanding on how to handle these issues better so it would not affect my identity in a wrong way po.
All right, thank you, Denise. Thank you for all of your answers. Now, moving on to our main lesson for today. What is it? I want you to complete the statement by citing some traits that you believe all Filipinos share. So all you have to do is complete the phrase "We Filipinos are" that you can see on your screen. So anyone? Mm, go ahead, Monica.
We Filipinos are hardworking, ma'am.
All right, I agree, Monica, because for instance, or for example, our OFWs and even those who are working here in our country, given the, you know, the compensation that they get. So next, who wants to answer? Um, all right, Fiel.
We Filipinos are optimistic.
Correct. Also, this is very evident when we go through, you know, natural calamities, and they say, despite all that has happened, Filipinos are still smiling, are still looking for a brighter future. Um, Next, who wants to answer? All right, Denise.
We Filipinos are generous and kind.
I agree. Also, we are known for being very giving of either material things or any help that we can do or we can offer to those who are in need. So next, Russell.
Um, we Filipinos are known for our hospitality.
Very good. We are very accommodating to other people, whether it is our friends, our foreigners, most especially. That's why they like to go to the Philippines, because they feel very important here. They feel that they are really guests. They are treated that they are really guests. So, are there any answers? All right, Genevieve.
We Filipinos have strong family ties.
I also agree, because most Filipino household is composed of an extended family living together in one roof. So, all right, now we have reached the main topic, or the story that we will tackle today. It is entitled. Ay, sorry. All right. It is entitled, yeah, We Filipinos Are Mild Drinkers by Alejandro R. Roses. So I repeat, the title of our story is We Filipinos Are Mild Drinkers. So, ayan. As you read the story, notice the following. Number one, Philippines set up during the liberation period. Number two, how are Americans described in the story? Number three, the use of the non-English words calamansi and lambanog. Number four, detailed description of the clothes. Number five, the Carabao's need for the mud hole. And number six, other customs particular to the Philippines. So, yeah, so let's begin. For our first slide, all right, I will read it first. We Filipinos are mild drinkers. We drink for only three good reasons. We drink when we are very happy, we drink when we are very sad, and we drink for any other reason. When the Americans recaptured the Philippines, they built an air base a few miles from our barrio. Yankee soldiers became a very common sight. I met a lot of GIs and made many friends. I could not pronounce their names. I could not tell them apart. All Americans look alike to me. They all look white. So, by the way, um, the term Yankee here also means American soldiers, while the GI term is, as what I have researched, is an adjective that likewise refers to armed forces back at that time. So basically, this story was set during the liberation period of the Philippines against Japan, wherein Americans are deployed all over the Philippines. So specifically, this was set on the year 1945. So my first question is, who do you think is the person talking or narrating in the story? All right, Fiel.
I think, ma'am, it's the writer himself.
Correct. Now for my second question, Fiel, um, please remain unmuted. What impression of the American soldiers does the narrator talk about at the beginning of the story?
Okay po. The narrator described the Americans as people who all look the same because they are all white. This emphasized the fact that they are foreign people, and the narrator can only identify all of them because of their color.
All right, thank you. That's right. So, um, next slide. All right. So, one afternoon, while I was plowing our rice field with our Carabao named Datu, I was barefooted and stripped to the waist. My pants, that were made from abaca fibers and woven on homemade looms, were rolled up to my knees. My bolo was at my side. An American soldier was walking on the highway. When he saw me, he headed towards me. I stopped blowing and waited for him. I noticed he was carrying a half-pint bottle of whiskey. Whiskey bottles seem part of the American uniform. "Hello, my little brown brother," he said, patting me on the head. "Hello, Joe," I answered. All Americans are called Joe in the Philippines. "So, any bars in this town?" he asked. That was actually the first question American soldiers asked when they visited our barrio. So, next slide. Um, Here I will ask two pairs to read the dialogues between the narrator and Joe, the American soldier. So, who wants to volunteer? Monica and I think I saw Genevieve. All right. So, who wants to read Joe's line and who wants to read the narrator's line?
I can read the narrator's line, ma'am.
All right. Monica will be Joe, the American soldier. So, let's start with I am sorry, Joe.
I am sorry, Joe, I replied. There are no bars in this barrio.
Oh hell, you know where I could buy more whiskey?
No, Joe, I am sorry. We do not drink whiskey.
Is it my line or the narrator also?
Yes, it
Here have
was
uh,
no.
the narrator. No, I think it's the mom, the American.
All right. I think it was also the American.
Okay, well. Here, have a swig. You have been working too hard.
He said, offering me his half-filled bottle. No, thank you, Joe. I said, we Filipinos are mild drinkers.
Well, don't you drink at all?
Yes, Joe, I drink, but not whiskey.
What the hell do you drink?
Next.
I drink lambanog.
Jungle juice?
I guess that is what the GIs call it.
You know where I could buy some?
I have some, you can have it. But I do not think you will like it.
I like it alright. Don't worry about that. I have drunk everything whiskey, rum, brandy, tequila, gin, champagne, sake, vodka.
He mentioned many more that I cannot spell. Say, you sure drink a lot, don't you?
All right. Thank you so much, Genevieve and Monica. Next, I not only drink a lot, but I drink anything. I drank Chanel number 5 when I was in France. In New Guinea, I got Seuss on Williams shaving lotion. When I was laid up in the hospital, I got pie-eyed with medical alcohol. On my way here in the transport, I got stoned on torpedo juice. You ain't kidding when you say I drink a lot. So let's have some of that jungle juice. All right, I said. I will just take this carabat to the mud hole. Then we can go home and drink. You sure love that animal, don't you? I should, I replied. It does half of my work. Why don't you get two of them? I did not answer. So, for my question for the last few slides, what again was the only drink that the narrator could offer? Um, Go, Denise.
Mama, I think it was lambanog.
Right. Correct. Correct. In in our country, we call it lambanog, the Tagalog term for Philippine coconut oil. So based on its name, obviously it is a traditional liquor that is made from coconut oil that has been aged for at least 48 hours. So who among you have heard of lambanog from their uncles or any elders at home? Please raise the hand button. Great. So we are all familiar with the lambanog drink, right? And now moving forward. All right. So for this slide, I unhitched Datu from the plow and led him to the mud hole. Joe was following me. Datu lay in the mud and was going whoosh whoosh. Flies and other insects flew from his back and hovered in the air. A strange warm odor rose out of the muddle. A carabao does not have any sweat glands except on its nose. It has to wallow in the mud or bath in a river about every 3 hours. Otherwise, it runs amok. Datu shook his head and his widespread horns scooped the muddy water on his back. He rolled over and was soon covered with slimy mud. An expression of perfect contentment came into his eyes. Then he swished his tail and Joe and I had to move back from the mud hole to keep from getting splashed. I left Datu in the mud hole. Then, turning to Joe, I said, "Let us go." And we proceeded towards my house. Joe was curiously looking around. So for the next slide, I again need two students. Please volunteer. Monica and Russell. All right, go.
Russell, which one do you prefer?
I prefer the narrators.
Okay. Ah, this this place is full of coconut trees.
Don't you have any coconut trees in America?
No, back home we have the pine tree.
What is it like?
Oh, it is tall and stately. It goes straight up to the sky like a skyscraper. It symbolizes America.
Well, the coconut tree symbolizes the Philippines. It starts up to the sky, but then its leaves sway down to earth, as if remembering the land that gave it birth. It does not forget the soil that gave it life.
All right,
In
I'll continue. So thank you, Russell and Monica. In a short while, we arrived in my Nipa house. I took a bamboo ladder and leaned it against the tree. Then I climbed the ladder and picked some calamansi. Next slide. "What's that?" Joe asked. "Philippine lemon," I answered. "We will need this for our drinks." "Oh, chasers?" "That's right, Joe. That is what the soldiers call it." I filled my pockets and then went down. I went to the garden well and washed the mud from my legs. Then we went up a bamboo ladder to my hut. It was getting dark, so I filled a coconut shell with coconut oil, dipped a wick in the oil, and lighted the wick. It produced a flickering light. I unstrapped my bolo and hung it on the wall. "Please sit down, Joe," I said. Next slide. "Where?" he asked, looking around. "Right there," I said, pointing to the floor. Joe sat, Joe sat down on the floor. I sliced the calamansi in halves, took some rough salt, and laid it on the foot-high table. I went to the kitchen and took the bamboo tube where I kept my lambanog. Lambanog is a drink extracted from the coconut tree with pulverized mangrove bark thrown in to prevent spontaneous combustion. It has many uses. We use it as a remedy for snake bites, as counteractive for malaria chills, as an insecticide, and for tanning carabao. I poured some lambanog on two polished coconut shells and gave one of the shells to Joe. I diluted my drink with some of Joe's whiskey. It became milky. We were both seated on the floor. I poured some of my drink on the bamboo floor. It went through the slits to the ground below. Next slide. "Hey, what are you doing?" said Joe, throwing good liquor away. "No, Joe," I said. "It is the custom here always to give it is the custom here always to give back to the earth a little of what we have taken from the earth." "Well," he said, raising a shell, "here's to the end of the war." "Here's to the end of the war," I said, also lifting my drink. I gulped my drink down. I followed it with a slice of calamansi dipped in rock salt. Joe took his drink, but reacted in a peculiar way. His eyes popped out like a frog's, and his hand clutched his throat. He looked as if he had swallowed a centipede. So, class, what do you think happened to Joe in the story? Go ahead, Viv.
Ma'am, I think Joe, upon drinking, must have been shocked by the foreign taste of the lambanog. It was something that he had never tasted before. That is why he displayed a peculiar face.
Thank you. Thank you, Genevieve. Most likely, right? So, um, a while ago, he boasted about tasting different wines around the world, but our own lambanog seems like something that he couldn't quite take the taste. So, um, next slide. Quick a chaser, he said. I gave him a slice of calamansi dipped in unrefined salt. He squirted it in his mouth, but it was too late. Nothing could chase him. The calamansi did not help him. I don't think even a, I don't think even a coconut would have helped him. What is wrong, Joe? I asked. Nothing, he said. The first drink always affects me this way. He was panting hard and tears were rolling down his cheeks. Well, the first drink always acts like a minesweeper, I said. But this second one will be smooth. So next slide. I filled this shell for the second time. Again, I diluted my drink with Joe's whiskey. I gave Joe his shell. I noticed that he was beaded with perspiration. He had unbuttoned his collar and loosened his tie. Joe took his shell but did not seem very anxious. I lifted my shell and said, "Here is to America." "Here's to America," Joe said. We both killed our drinks. Joe again reacted in a funny way. His neck stretched out like a turtle's, and now he was panting like a carabao gone amok. He was grasping his tie with one hand. Then he looked down on his tie, threw it to one side, and said, "Oh Christ!" For a while I thought it was my tongue. After this, he started to tinker with his teeth. So you see, based on the description that Lambanog is based on the description, Lambanog is getting the best of Joe's alcohol tolerance. It seems like he couldn't handle um, this Lambanog that we have here in the Philippines. So, for the next slide, I need again two students, please. Go Fiel and Monica. All right.
Let me, Monica, let me start.
Okay.
Okay. What's wrong, Joe? I asked, still trying to be a perfect host.
Planting. This damn stuff had loosened my bridge work.
As Joe exhaled, a moth flying around the flickering flame fell dead. Well, how about another drink? I asked. It is what we came here for.
No thanks. I'm through.
Surely you will not refuse my hospitality?
Okay, just once more.
All right. Thank you. Next slide. I poured the juice in the shells and again diluted mine with whiskey. I handed Joe his drink. "Here's to the Philippines," he said. "Here's to the Philippines," I said. Joe took some of his drink. I could not see very clearly in the flickering light, but I could have sworn I saw smoke out of his tears. "This stuff must be radioactive," he said. He threw the remains of his drink on the Nipa wall and yielded. "Blaze! God damn you, Blaze!" So, guys, what do you think happened next? Yes, Russell?
I think, ma'am, based on Joe's expression, he cannot longer handle the taste of the lambanog drink, and so maybe he stormed out and left the narrator alone.
All right, nice guess. Now, on the next slide, we will know what really happened to Joe. So, just as I was getting in the mood to drink, Joe passed out. He lay on the floor as he lay on the floor flat as a starfish. He was in a class all by himself. I knew that the soldiers had to be back in their barracks at a certain time, so I decided to take Joe back. I tried to lift him. It was like lifting a carabao. I had to call four of my neighbors to help me carry Joe. We slung him on top of my carabao. I took my bolo from my house and strapped it on my waist. Then I proceeded to take him back. The whole barrio was wondering what had happened to the big Americano. After 2 hours, I arrived at their airfield. I found out which barracks he belonged to and took him there. His friends helped me take him to his cot. They were glad to see him back. Everybody thanked me for taking him home. As I was leaving the barracks to go home, one of his buddies called me and said, "Hey you, how about a can of beer before you go?" "No thanks," I said. "We Filipinos are mild drinkers." So, um, how do you feel about the story? It was funny, right? How the narrator always said that we Filipinos are mild drinkers um, when in the other hand, it was the American soldier who passed out because of our very own lambanog. So again, the title of the story that we had is "We Filipinos Are Mild Drinkers." We Filipinos are mild drinkers. So it was set in a barrio in our country during the year 1945, as what I have mentioned before we have started. So our main characters here are the Filipino farmer who was invited by an American soldier for a drink. It mainly talks about the time shared between two characters having a conversation over a drink. In this case, it was the lambanog who happened to be their drink. So next. All right. So along the way of reading the story, I am certain that you noticed the following. It was already presented. So the first one is the use of the non-English words calamansi and lambanog. Second, the detailed description of the clothes. Third, the Carabao's need for a mud hole. And lastly, other customs particular to the Philippines. So you notice this four um, aspects, right? So class, this is because local color was part of the setting. So, what is local color? Local color, a style of writing derived from the presentation of the features and peculiarities of a particular locality and its inhabitants. Second, it focuses on the character, dialect, customs, and topography, and other features specific to a region. So, in the story, the use of the non-English word calamansi and lambanog is an example of local color. Although, as we have noticed in some parts of the story, they are labeled as a lemon fruit and a jungle fruit for the lambanog. But then again, the writer preferred to use the non-English terms for it. So another is the detailed description of the narrator's clothes. It is a representation of local colors since it is the most common clothes worn by our great farmers. Next is next is the Carabao's need for the mud hole. So um, the Carabao's need for the mud hole and the Nipa house where the farmer lives are all representations of local colors. So additionally, did you know that in American literature, local color was the most popular form for 3 decades, and this resulted to the awakening of public interest in the United States. So now, if I may ask this class, how can you relate this in our context as Bulakeños? Bulakeños, can you share to this class some observable traits, customs, and culture that is unique to us? So, go Viv.
Um, in most places here in Bulacan, instead of saying maghugas ng plato, people say magurong ka ng plato.
Yes. Actually, this is funny because that is something that I was not aware of until I entered senior high school here in La Consolacion. So, because our family are not originally from here in Bulacan, and I spent my high school years in in a different city, and so I just learned it from a friend when I went to her house rather, and she told me that mag-urong ka ng plato, and I was like, what does it mean? And then she told me that it means maghugas ka ng plato. So next. Go Russell.
I think, ma'am, one of the noticeable action in terms of constructing words and phrases, some of our sentences either starts or ends with we and eka.
This is very evident on our friends from Hagonoy, so I often hear them say Eka. And also I have a friend from, I think, from Balagtas. Yeah, from Balagtas, and she always say Eka, Eka, when constructing sentences. So any other answers? Go Denise.
Another thing po is that some of us do not just call our elders kuya and ate, but instead we call them differently. For example, your second older brother is called Diko, and the second older sister is Diche. Another is the third eldest brother is called Sangko. While if it is a third older sister, you can call her Sanse.
All right, thank you. So in some families, they practice this on this using these terms, but just like what I have mentioned on the first answer from Genevieve, I think this is something that we also do not use as we are not originally from Bulacan. But it is nice because you can distinguish who's the elder brother or the elder sister by saying like Dico, Diche, and all. So very good. Do you have any questions? Raise the hand button if you understood what is local color very well. All right. Now moving on, we will have a few activities. The first one is um, matchy matchy. It's called matchy matchy. All right, so match words from column A to column B. So, for those who would like to answer, please read the words from the left side first, then their corresponding answers on the right side. So, number one, Alejandro Arroses. Go Viv.
Alejandro Arroses matches letter D, the author of the story.
All right. Let's see. Correct. So Alejandro Arroses is the author of the story We Filipinos Are Mild Drinkers. So number two, go Fiel.
Number 2, Carabao's name matches letter A, Datu.
All right. See. All right. So it is that two. Number three, coconut tree. Number three, coconut tree. All right, Russell, answer.
Number three, coconut tree. I think it matches letter B. It symbolizes the Philippines.
All right. Yes, you're correct. So number four, lambanog. Monica.
Lambanog matches with E, a drink extracted from the coconut tree.
Yes, the same drink that the American Joe could not handle in the story. So for the last one, what happened to Joe? All right, Denise.
What happened to Joe matches he passed out. Passed out from
Correct. All right. So next activity we have culture check. So here is a list of both Philippine and Western culture. So put a check if, or rather, say check if the item is part of the Philippine culture and say X if not. So number one, mild drinkers. Are we mild drinkers? All right, Genevieve,
Check, ma'am.
check because according to the story, we are mild drinkers, but um, um, the American Joe could not handle our own drink. So, number two, liberal. Russell,
I think, ma'am, it is expo.
X, C. Right, because As we all know, we Filipinos are more on the conservative side. So, number three, Fiel.
Check, ma'am.
All right, check na check. Loud noise to drive away all spirits. Number four, Denise.
Check po.
Yes, just like what you have mentioned on the activity of we Filipinos are. So next, going out to eat or ordering takeout foods. Monica?
I think Ma'am X because we Filipinos prefer foods in our home,
Yes, I
homemade.
agree. And also we are good cooks. Um
Yes,
we
ma'am.
right, diba? Right. So number six, the use of po and opo. Viv,
Check, ma'am.
check. Yes. Number seven, a variety of round-shaped fruits during Christmas season. Russell,
Check po.
yes. Do you do this at home? Because we do this, the round
Yes
shape.
po.
I
And every
actually it
New
was
Year.
during the New Year, the round shape fruits.
Yes
So
po.
it is checked. Next is oh, I click. Oh, it was all. I think it was already revealed. It was already revealed. Small talk. Small talk is X because we prefer longer conversations. So next is practice of pagmamano. Russell,
Check po.
check. Yes. Next is eat pancit for a long life and fortune. Monica,
I think Ma'am check because it is one of our culture as well. Eating
yes.
pancit.
Yes. All right, check. So thank you so much for all your answers. Next activity. This is the last activity. It is called Color Me Local. So read each passage and determine how local color is achieved. So we have here number one as an example. The statement is, well, I said, the coconut tree symbolizes the Philippines. It starts up to the sky, but then it leaves sway down to earth, as if remembering the land that gave it birth. It does not forget the soil that gave it life. So the answer is the local color is achieved in this passage through the description of the coconut tree, as this symbolizes the Filipino character of being thankful for what they have and giving back to those who are in need. So, number two, who wants to answer? Please read the passage first. Genevieve.
Um, One afternoon, I was plowing our rice field with our carabao named Datu. I was barefooted and stripped to the waist. My pants that were made from abaca fibers and woven on homemade looms were rolled up to my knees. My bolo was at my side. Um, the local color is achieved through first the mention of the carabao in the rice field, and second through the detailed description of the character clothes, which is made from abaca fibers and woven homemade looms. Another also is the mention of the bolo, a knife used for farming in the Philippines.
Very good. So, a while ago, we have mentioned of the Carabao, the detailed description of the clothes, and the bolo. Anyway, regarding this activity, I will provide a document of this later after class, so you could all answer. Next is who wants to answer? Denise.
Joe sat down on the floor. I sliced the calamansi in halves, took some rock salt and laid it on the foot high table. I went to the kitchen and took the bamboo tube where I kept my lambanog. So, local color is achieved through the mention of non-English words, calamansi and lambanog po.
All right, so we have repeatedly said this a while ago, the mention of the terms calamansi and lambanog. So, next slide. Who wants to answer? Um, Fiel? Go, Fiel.
Yes, ma'am. Number 4. Flies and other insects flew from his back and hovered in the air. A strange warm odor rose out of the muddle. A carabao does not have any sweat glands except on its nose. It has to wallow in the mud or bathe in the river about every 3 hours, otherwise it runs amok. I think, ma'am, the local color is achieved through the mention of the carabao who needs to bath in the mud hole, which is a strange warm odor. This is a typical scenario on the rice fields in our country.
All right, I agree. We often see this scenario whenever um we go to rice field, or even if we sight it while we see it rather while we are traveling. So last statement, please. Russell, go.
In a short while we arrived in my nipa house. I took a bamboo ladder and leaned it against a tree. Then I climbed the ladder and picked some calamansi. I think the local color is achieved through the mention of the nipa house, which is, as we all know, a kind of an indigenous house in the Philippines.
Yes, thank you, Russell. So, now we will have, so after the activity, now we will have a very short oral quiz about today's lesson. So, are you guys ready? Please raise the hand button. All right, thank you. So, next is please. Number one. Um, you just have to pick which letter is the best answer. For those who will be answering, please read the question first along with the choices and then your answer, of course. So number one, Genevieve, please.
Um, it is the style of writing derived from the presentation of the features and peculiarities of a particular locality and its inhabitants. A. Local color. B. Local description. C. Local writing. D. Local shading. The answer, ma'am, is A. Local color.
Local color. Let's check. Yes, it is indeed local color. So number two, Fiel.
Number 2. It is the single most popular form of American literature, fulfilling a newly awakened public interest in distant parts of the United States, and for some, providing a nostalgic memory of times gone by. Letter A, local description. B, local color. C, local writing. D, local shading. Number 2 is letter B, local color.
Same with the number one question. It is, these two are actually the description of local color, as what I have mentioned on the previous presentation. So thank you. Next, number three, Monica.
What is something Filipino have when accommodating visitors? Is it amiability, ma'am?
I also
No, the
think it is
choices.
realism.
Uh,
Yeah, the
amiabil.
amiability. Yeah.
Okay, hospitability, respect, or trustworthy. I think the answer, ma'am, is B, hospitability.
Yes. We have mentioned this also a while ago. Letter B, number four, Denise.
Who is the author of We Filipinos Are Mild Drinkers? A. Abelardo Roses. B. Abelardo Rojas. C. Alejandro Roses. D. Abelardo Romez. So for number four, It's letter C, Alejandro Roses.
All right, letter C. Thank you. Next, number 5. Russell.
What are the two non-English words used in the text? A. Buro and kamyas. B. Buro and lambanog. C. Kalamansi. D. Kalamansi and lambanog. I think ma'am the answer is letter D. Kalamansi and lambanog.
Yes, correct. We have mentioned this a while ago. Calamansi and Lambanog. Number 6. Genevieve.
Based on the text, what is the name of the Carabao? A. Babaylan, B. Bataluman, C. Datu, D. Raha. Ma'am, the answer is C. Datu.
Yes. The other choices are actually weird. So thank you. Next slide. Number 7. Fiel.
Number 7. Which of the following is not a good reason for drinking according to text? A. We drink for any reason. B. We drink for leisure. C. We drink when we are happy. And D. We drink when we are sad. The answer is C. We drink when we are happy.
Let's see. No, it is actually we drink for leisure. Actually, if you can remember on the first slide, I mentioned there, the narrator said, we drink when we are happy, we drink when we are sad, and we drink when for any other reason. So the only one that is not included on the choices here is we drink for leisure. So I think the answer really is letter B. Anyway, thank you, Fiel. Number 8, Denise.
Why do you think it is important to be accommodating to your guests, even to stranger? Letter A, to be friends with them. Letter B, to make them feel comfortable. Letter C, to make them feel they matter. Letter D, to show respect. I think letter C, to make them feel they matter.
Let's check. All right, so it is letter C, to make them feel they matter. Next, for the last two questions, number 9, Russell.
This writing style is part of the setting. A. Local color. B. Local. D. C. Local writing. D. Local shading. I think the answer is A po.
Correct, local color. So the other choices, we haven't mentioned them. But local color is our main topic for today. So last question, please, number 10. Monica.
Yes, ma'am. This style of writing focuses on the blank, dialect, customs, and topography, and other features specific to a region. A character, B climax, C plot, D setting. Is it A, ma'am, character?
Let's check. Yes, it is character, dialect, customs, and topography. So, thank you everyone for participating. Now for your assignment. In a short band paper, draw a poster about Filipino identity. Make sure to be creative in making yours. Please refer to the rubrics presented, showing how your outputs will be graded. So anyway, I will also post this on our group chat and our Google Classroom after this class. So that's it. Do you have any questions?
N-
Clarifications?
None, ma'am.
None,
None,
ma'am.
ma'am.
All right. With that, thank you for listening. Have a great day ahead. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank
Goodbye
you,
po.
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Um,